Hello and welcome to another edition of News Showcase. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. In a rare event, the Ram Lala deity was anointed with a ray of sunlight, known as Surya Tilak, at the temple in Ayodhya town. With a specially developed instrument, a 5.8 centimeter light beam was directed at the deity's forehead at noontime. The auspicious ceremony was made possible by a group of 10 distinguished Indian scientists who were stationed at the Ram temple. Using a combination of mirrors and lenses, sunlight was carefully focused onto the statue for 3 to 5 minutes. Scientists from a top government institute hired by the Temple Trust created the state-of-the-art device. The mechanism is an important achievement in science and engineering and is formally known as the Surya Tilak mechanism. Devotees thronged the Vaishno Devi temple in Kashmir to mark Ram Navami festival, which marks the birth anniversary of Lord Ram. The day holds special significance among Hindus and is celebrated on the 9th day of Chaitra, the first month in the Hindu lunar calendar. The festival is celebrated with vigor, fervor, pomp and enthusiasm across the country. During the 9-day event, devotees worship the 9 forms of Ma Durga and observe a fast. The temple in Katra is dedicated to Vaishno Devi, a manifestation of Durga, and it is said the deity fulfills the wishes of her believers. The sacred cave is located at an altitude of 5,200 feet, and pilgrims should hike for 12 miles to reach the site. The Chief Minister of Maharashtra called on actor Salman Khan after shots were fired at his home in Mumbai. Khan welcomed Eknath Shinde to his home, where he is thought to have been assured of the government's support and enhanced security. After the meeting, Shinde said nobody should be targeted and vowed to punish gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, who is thought to be behind the shooting incident. 2 gunmen involved in the incident were captured in Gujarat on Tuesday in an operation involving police from several states. According to reports, Khan has been targeted by the gang for his role in the killing of 2 black bucks during a hunting session in 1998. The animals are considered sacred to the Bishnoi community. The United States has urged India and Pakistan to avoid escalation of tension between the neighbors. The comments by U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller comes after India's defense minister recently said that terrorists will be pursued across borders. Recently, the Guardian news organization also reported that India carried out 20 such assassinations since 2019, but the report was denied by New Delhi. To a specific question, whether the U.S. would think of sanctions, Miller said the U.S. does not comment on such matters publicly, but indicated there was no such plans. Last year, a row broke out between India and Canada over the killing of a Sikh separatist activist in British Columbia and a plot to assassinate another in New York. Heavy rain disrupted operations at Dubai International Airport, the world's busiest air hub, causing numerous flight diversions. The airport suspended arrivals temporarily, and despite resuming later, flight operations faced delays and cancellations. The unexpected downpour led to widespread flooding across Dubai and the rest of the country, highlighting the impact of climate change on extreme weather events in the region. Infrastructure, including shopping centers and a metro station, was flooded, and residential areas were submerged. Schools were closed, and further storms have been forecast, leading to extended remote working for government employees. In Oman, flash floods resulted in 18 deaths, and the impact of the downpour was felt all across the UAE and Bahrain. Warnings have been issued by countries in the region about the increased likelihood of flooding due to global warming. Reports say the US and the European Union are preparing to impose further sanctions on Iran following its attack on Israel last week. Israel has launched a diplomatic offensive, urging more than 30 countries to sanction Iran's missile program and designate the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen indicated that Iran's oil exports could be targeted. The new sanctions will focus on Iran's missile and drone program, the Revolutionary Guards, and the Iranian Defense Ministry. Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi has warned of a severe response if Israel retaliates, and Russia, an ally of Iran, has urged restraint. World leaders have already called for calm to avoid a major escalation of military tension in the Middle East. Various reports have emerged on how Israel might respond militarily to strikes by Iran last Sunday. Some said the options include airstrikes on strategic locations, such as bases of the Revolutionary Guard or nuclear research facilities. Other options include cyber attacks on Iranian infrastructure, targeting Iranian proxies in the Middle East, and carrying out covert operations on Iranian soil. Israel views Iran's nuclear program as an existential threat, despite Iran's insistence that it is for peaceful purposes. The United States has said it will not take part in any Israeli military retaliation on Iran, while most of Israel's allies have urged restraint. There are growing fears that the conflict in the Middle East could get out of hand and have a deep impact on global economy. British broadcaster BBC has said that Russia's military casualties in Ukraine have now surpassed the 50,000 mark. The figure is 8 times higher than that Moscow has ever officially acknowledged in public in September 2022. It said the number of dead on the front lines was about 25% greater in the second year of war than the first, as Moscow pressed its so-called meat grinder tactic. It said, since February 2022, the independent media organization Media Zona, volunteers and its own staff have been tracking casualties. Several soldiers' names were made available via recently dug graves in cemeteries. It said the data was provided by teams that searched through publicly available information from newspapers, social media, and government sources. The International Monetary Fund has forecast that Russia's economy will grow by 3.2% this year, outpacing all advanced economies, including the US. It attributed the growth to steady oil exports and high government spending. Despite sanctions over its invasion of Ukraine, the IMF upgraded its predictions for Russia's economy, expecting a growth of 1.8% in 2025. Factors such as investments from corporate and state-owned enterprises and robust private consumption have contributed to this growth. Meanwhile, the IMF downgraded its growth forecasts for Europe and the UK, predicting a 0.5% growth for the UK this year, making it the second weakest performer in the G7 group. The IMF also warned of a potential spike in food, energy, and transport costs, which would hit lower-income countries the hardest. British MPs have supported a plan to ban anyone born after 2009 from buying cigarettes, making it likely to become law. The Tobacco and Vapes Bill, advocated by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, was passed by 383 votes to 67, despite opposition from several Tory figures. Health Secretary Victoria Atkins defended the plans, stating the aim was to create a smoke-free generation. Critics, including former Prime Minister Liz Truss, argued the bill would limit personal freedom. The bill still requires further steps, including votes in the House of Lords, before becoming law. If passed, the UK's smoking laws would be among the strictest globally. In total, 178 Tory MPs voted to support the plan, but 57 voted against. The debate marked MPs' first chance to discuss the legislation implementing the ban. Thank you for watching. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. Do tune in, same time tomorrow, for a roundup of the latest news and updates in India and around the world.